Hey guys. As our time in Goiânia has come to an end, I thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown of the last things we did while we were there. A lot of our time has been spent in cafes. We found some amazing places where Laura would go and do her artwork and I would do my writing. And I'm really glad to say that Goiânia has a burgeoning sort of hipster cafe scene where they're serving great coffees with good decor, good service. Some things still a little bit different from what we expect in the UK, but overall the picture's brilliant. And I promised you that I would show you the most dangerous food that I have yet found on the face of the planet. Now, many years ago, when I was traveling in Japan with my brother Charles, we ate blowfish. All I'm going to tell you is that this food I'm about to show you is more scary than blowfish. If you eat it in the wrong way, it will basically explode and fill your mouth with spines, and they require surgery to remove. People still think that somehow it's a good idea to eat this food. It's called piqui, with the stress on the second syllable.
So I eat piqui in a much more conservative way by just shaving off the top bits like this and eating it like that. If I had to describe the flavour, I'd say it was a mix of orange zest, oxo cube, and washing powder.
The governor of Goiás recently started a program to provide a sort of cultural education to the people in the state. And one of the great things he's done is decided to promote free classical music and put on free classical concerts in one of their main concert halls. The Oscar Niemeyer Cultural Centre itself is actually quite an interesting building with some architecture that makes you stop and have a look, and some artwork that makes you stop and have a think. I didn't film during the concert because that would be very rude, but they played some beautiful Schubert and it was really well performed. The only thing I would maybe note is that the woman who was sitting next to me seemed to have some remarkable respiratory problem that required her to cough and hack loudly in the quietest and most beautiful parts of the performance. On one day, I got a call from my friend Natalis, who said to me, "Você quer assistir partido de futebol?" Which I thought meant, "Do you want to play some football?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to play football." And then I looked down and I saw assistir means to watch. I was like, man, why would I want to go and watch some guys play football? Some minutes later, I realized that he was actually talking about going and watching a proper game of football at a stadium. And I was really excited by this, so of course I said yes. And we went down to watch second division Vila Nova play goodness knows what division, Juventude, in a cup competition. It was a really great atmosphere. The supporters were loud the whole way through, screaming out, shouting. There were fireworks, there were flares, there were drones, there were drums. It was brilliant. There were 0 Juventude supporters. The entire stadium was filled with one team's fans. Before we went down to the game, Natalis advised me what I was and wasn't allowed to wear.
Okay. When Natalis invited me down, he gave me a list of rules about coming to the game, about what I'm allowed to wear and what I can't wear. Natalis, quais tipos de roupas preciso usar para este partido?
Vermelho ou branco? Vermelho ou branco. Red or white.
O que vai acontecer com
Proibidos?
proibidos?
Verde não pode, nem azul, nem preto, somente vermelho e branco.
So I just went with grey because I thought it was safe. Hopefully not going to get beaten up at the end of the game. Let's see what happens.
There were great songs like Dally 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 O. There were fights, although I'm not really sure what they were about considering there were only one team supporters there. And Villanova played this really interesting and innovative style of football, which seemed to be some kind of experiment as to what would happen in a football game if nobody moves whatsoever. So unsurprisingly, the game finished 0-0 after a couple of disallowed goals, and Villanova went out on penalties. Now, seeing as the stadium was filled only with Villanova fans and Villanova lost, the atmosphere was electric's the wrong word, bizarre is the right word. Silence, and Juventude was celebrating in the center to the sound of absolutely nothing, people leaving. It was a trip, it was a great experience, I would definitely go again. One of the last trips that Lara and I were able to take was to a church crusade in an area called Itumbiara. Now, Itumbiara is a really poor area. More than 1 in 10 of the people there are unable to read, and there are drug problems throughout the city. But one of the amazing things that's happening with the churches there is they're setting people free from drugs, and they're enabling them to read and write, and people's lives are being changed through the work they're doing in the communities. We were staying with a family in quite a poor area, but when you get to see what's going on in these families' lives and the way they're being changed and the way they're so much better off afterwards than they were before, then even when you're in one of these poor areas, it's more beautiful than it is poor. One of the difficult things about the circumstances and the realities of some people's lives that we've been interacting with is that death and destroyed lives seem so much closer to home than they do in the UK. A lot of people are facing really hard realities, and even while we were there, we came into contact with people who died or were abducted between the time we arrived and the time we left. While we were out there, we had the privilege to interact with churches and ministries who were doing the most incredible work amongst these groups. I mentioned in the last video how we got to spend some time with Julie. Julie's an equestrian professional, and she's working with a project called Horses for Orphans, Cavalos para Orphans, in an area close to Goiânia. And this project is working with orphans who obviously are coming from incredibly difficult backgrounds. And they use a combination of prayer and equine therapy, mentoring and love to help these children through some really difficult circumstances. On our last visit up to the farm, I took a moment aside with Julie to ask her for what her heart was about the program and about the children they work with.
Hi, my name is Julia and I'm from England. So yeah, we have groups that come from local orphanage to our farm here. They work with the horses. I know that a lot of the time people struggle and they make really bad choices because they've had pain in their life before. So this is why we have the equine therapy, because when they work with the horses, they're able to learn more about themselves and they're able to let go of things in their past. You see, you have to be very self-aware when you're working with a horse, and people that have gone through abuse often do not want to be self-aware because then they're reminded of their pain. So we find that working with the horses is very effective. Like some of the kids that we work with, their parents have been murdered in front of them, they've been abused sexually and this kind of thing. So to come to the farm, to come to a new environment, it's a safe place for them, and it's important when you need to overcome your pain from the past is to be in a safe environment where you are loved and appreciated and where you're taken care of. So it really helps to use the horses because it gives them a way of trusting, and it helps them to open up to you more, and you're able to counsel them and step through different things that maybe you would never be able to deal with. We are the people at the farm here. We do believe in God, so we teach them that they can also have healing of their hearts. The biggest thing that orphans struggle with is that they feel like they are a mistake because they were rejected. They were rejected by their families, they were rejected by society. So often at the farm here, we just tell them and help them to see that they are valuable, that life has value, no matter what life you have, no matter who you are, no matter what's happened to you, you are worth something. And if you know the value of your life, you're going to value other people's lives as well. So yeah, our hope is to have lots of children impacted by this project that can come and learn through the horses how to trust again, how to be open again, and to find they value themselves, and so that they are able to walk freely and make better choices with their lives. Often people make bad choices because they don't have people that believe in them, and sometimes just coming to the farm and having people that believe in them and care about them can make all the difference.
Most of them are moving at the same pace. Most of them will start walking, and then some of them start trotting, and it's just natural.
shy.
They don't know why,
I get
but
it.
they all start trotting. If some of them start
Do you want to say
running,
anything?
then they just fall into place. They find,
No, he really doesn't.
find harmony, find that rhythm.
Another of them is called Progetto Amar, which roughly translates to the Love Project, and they work with severely disadvantaged and hurt children from all sorts of backgrounds. And seeing the love and care that these people pour into the children's lives day in, day out is incredible. They're taking care of around 200 children, and they take them in at their most broken, and they tend them and love them until they're filled with confidence. And we've seen firsthand the effect this has on the children's lives. And through the love, through the mentorship, through the consistency, through the care, through even simple things like making sure they get fed every day, there's a really tangible change in the children's lives as they see people who aren't trying to take something from them but only give to them. And in that project we met some really remarkable remarkable children. Even though they'd come from incredibly damaged upbringings, through the love and the care, they'd started to dream again. We met young people who wanted to go on to be teachers, software developers, pilots, and all sorts of other careers. I can't recommend this work highly enough. And if you're interested in further information about Horses for Orphans or Progetto Amar, please do send Laura or me a message, and we'd love to tell you more about it. And I will see you next time with our last moments in Goiânia. Até mais!
With the kids, I wanted to bring them some joy, and to me it's always worth it if I can see a smile on their face. You see, God looks at the heart. We always look at the outside, and God has compassion.